The movie starts with a lone forest and a boy narrating the tale. He says that it first came to his mother as a snake, and then it took other forms to torment her. But his mother was a good girl, so the evil could not touch her inside the house. A woman wakes up with a startle and chants some prayers as she leaves the house to check something. She does not find anything in the grass, but she can feel the presence of an entity reaching out to her. Once inside, she goes to the room where two of her kids are sleeping and wakes them up. Samuel wakes up first and urges his brothers to do the same. He explains to Nolan that the evil wants them so badly because there's so much love inside them, and it wants to make them turn against each other. All it needs is a one touch without the rope on. And then, not even the house can save them. Their house is located in the middle of a dense forest, and in it lives a family of 3. They seem to be struggling with their supply of food. And when they go out, they have to make preparations, even having to tie a rope around themselves after a prayer. The tranquility of the forest seems to haunt them, so the mother prepares weapons while the boys send the family dog ahead to do some hunting. Once they are ready to take a step outside, they tell each other to never let go. Unexpectedly, the 3 take different directions to venture into the dense forest, with the ropes around their waists connected to the house. The mother can see someone following her around, but she tries to ignore him as best as she can. Samuel continues his tale as he says that their mother told them that people opened their door to the evil unknowingly, but their grandmother knew about it, and their grandfather was the only one to ever believe her. He built a blessed house where the evil would not be able to come in. It was a good life until their grandmother started to feel a presence lurking in the woods. She refused to leave the house, so their grandfather figured out a way to tie a rope to the foundation of the house. The 3 continue their exploration, catching insects, squirrels, and anything that could be eaten. Nolan finds an egg, but the rope is too short for the distance. He decides to slack it to grab the egg, but Samuel warns it could be a trick. The 2 decide to head back after an argument. However, on the way back, Nolan hears Samuel say that their mother loves him more. Nolan confronts him about it, but Samuel says he never said anything. Angry, Nolan pulls at his rope to make him trip and fall into a ditch. Nolan worries now and calls for their mother using a whistle. Their mother runs towards them in full speed. Samuel gets his foot sprained and realizes that the rope is no longer attached to him. Samuel gets terrified of the hollow of the tree in front of him and shuts his eyes. Nolan lets go of the rope to help his brother get back. Their mother also reaches the area, but her rope is too short to actually reach the boys. She instructs them to get back on the rope, realizing that someone has awakened from their sleep. The creepy old woman pursues the kids, but their mother lets go of her rope to come save them. She ties the rope around the 3 of them, but the old woman keeps lurking around them. Their mother keeps telling the kids to hang on to the rope, as she is the only one who can see the entity. Once they reach home, the mother makes the boys bow and touch the cellar as she holds the knife towards them and tells them to say it. The frightened kids say their prayers, so she calms down. She helps Samuel settle down, but Nolan comes clean that he stepped on his rope. The mother snaps at him and scolds him for endangering all of them. She then proceeds to nurse Samuel's broken foot. Samuel asks what it looked like this time, so she tells him that it tried to scare her with her mother's look. The woman starts mending the ropes on the balcony, where she sees the old man staring at her from outside the house. At dinner time, their mother tells them that the evil came to her as a little girl once, crying out for help. The girl was also stuck. Her bones stuck out as she screamed for help. However, their mother kept telling herself that the girl was not real. The screams went on for days, and she went there every morning to check. The girl's skin eventually turned blue and gray, and then her bones at the end. Their mother believes that the evil wanted her to doubt herself, to let go of the rope. She says that the evil is clever and patient. The evil is playing a cunning trick on them so that when enough time passes by, they will forget it was even there and let their guards down. That is when it is going to get them. She tells them that one touch is all it takes, without the rope, for it to possess one of them and get inside the house, so they should never let go. She lets Nolan out of the cellar to ask what he imagined. The boy tells her that he imagined all of them were gone and there was darkness all around. Then he imagined about the house and the safety it brought, and he felt lucky. Their mother feels satisfied and tells Samuel to do the same. She tells him to fill the cellar with all the love and remind the house that they need its protection as she closes the door on him. Later that night, Nolan draws Samuel's picture of him having wings. They say that now he can fly around and eat whatever he wants. They play around for a bit, imagining the things they can do. Nolan asks Samuel if he noticed anything when his rope broke, because nothing changed after it happened. Samuel shrugs it off, saying that the evil did not get to them. However, Nolan is not done yet. He asks if their mother would have gotten rid of them if the evil ever touched them. like she got rid of their father and grandparents. Samuel thinks that she was only protecting them because evil had been encroached on those family members. Nolan brings up their dog Coda, but Samuel says it's a dog and the evil does not care about animals. Nolan questions their mother, but Samuel is bent on the idea that their mother never lied to them. Nolan drops the conversation at that and clarifies that he never meant to hurt Samuel. Their mother is sharpening the knife when she hears someone pray from the woods. She stands up for a closer look and finds a man standing in the woods, who calls her affectionately. She keeps ignoring him even when the guy wants to meet his kids. However, he understands that she never told them about their father because then she would have to tell them about herself. He says that he has come so close and sooner or later she will let go, and when that happens, he is going to make her eat her babies. During gardening, Nolan asks about the snake tattoo on his mother's back that she got when she was in the city. She says that she got it when she met their father, before the evil got to them. Nolan says he likes it because it is from the old world, but his mother asks what's there to like about a world full of pain and suffering. She says she also did not believe her mother when she was his age, and that's why she left. But she is back here because this is the only place that can keep them safe. Nolan asks about the possibility of the evil coming into the house, but his mother says it will make them destroy each other because that's how the world ended. Nolan asks if they are the only ones who are protected, but his mother says they are not alone, they have each other. The life in their house keeps going on, with the food decreasing the passing of each day. Their mother reads them the tale of the woodcutter and his wife, who abandoned their children in the woods because they could not afford to feed 2 more mouths. In the end, there's no food to eat. Nolan and Samuel watch the new moon in the evening sky. This means they can listen to the music and dance tonight. Their mother joins them in their little fun, showing affection in the form of a warm hug. Later, when taking a bath, she finds Nolan sleepwalking into the bathroom, so she puts him back to bed and ties a bell around his ankle. She then opens the cellar door to untie 2 of the 3 ropes to form 1 large rope to go hunting. However, she finds a crow eating away at Nolan's body, and that makes her turn. She gathers her courage to look again at the spot, only to find that there's nothing there. She aims at the crow, but can see the boy in another spot. Frustrated, she screams her lungs out. In the end, she comes home with a bark of a tree, and they have it for breakfast. The 3 start gathering the bark of trees, but suddenly, Nolan notices something move behind him, and he finds himself all alone. His rope suddenly starts pulling at him towards an old well, making him scream in protest. However, when he finally reaches the well, he comes back to his senses, finding himself alone at night, outside the house. The bell around his ankle made him awake, but there's no rope around him. After looking around in fright, he finds Coda running towards him, and then someone grabs him. Samuel wakes up to the sound of his mother yelling at Nolan as she demands him to say the words. She has a knife pointed at him as she demands to hear those words again and again. She then ties Nolan and puts him into the cellar. When she finally opens the door, she asks if he felt the darkness go away. Later, Nolan tells Samuel that they need to leave the house. Samuel points out that they can't because of the evil, but Nolan thinks they can outrun it if they watch out for each other, because they know the forest. He thinks they need to find something to eat and help their mother out. They are unaware that their mother is listening in when Nolan says he can let go of the rope but can't let go of his brother. However, Samuel looks at the door as he apologizes, saying it's too dangerous. Their mother sits in her room, thinking of the time she ate raw flesh. The next day looks as ordinary as it can be. The mother opens a box full of little trinkets, including some photographs and a camera. She takes both things out and places them in front of the boys. She explains how it works and shows a picture of herself from the old world. There's even a picture of the 3 of them with their dog, Coda. There's another shot in the camera, but she tells them to wait for a special moment to take the snap. She starts talking about the hard time they are going through. Everything in the garden is gone. There are no animals in winter, and the water will last them a month at most. She tells them that they are going to die soon, but they have one option, and that's Coda. She talks about salting the meat to last them longer, but Nolan snaps at her. He suggests going outside, but his mother tells him it is either this house or the evil. Nolan points out that eating family is evil. After arguing about it for a few minutes, the mother decides to ask Samuel about the matter. Samuel gives his verdict that they have to sacrifice Coda. Nolan yells at them while crying and leaves with Coda. He hugs the dog until his mother arrives and forcibly takes the dog away. She takes the dog to the greenhouse, hugs him tenderly, and points the weapon at him. Her shaky hands can't pull the trigger, and then Nolan comes to save his friend, telling his mother that there's nothing to be scared of as he cuts the rope and shuts her inside the greenhouse. She tries to free herself as she explains that if the evil touches her and gets inside the house, it is going to make her eliminate her sons. Samuel comes to tackle his brother while the mother finds the evil old woman standing inside the greenhouse and calls for her sons, who are still battling each other. The woman starts approaching her, but the mother slashes her own throat, saying the evil will never get in. Samuel watches his mother drop to the floor and runs towards her. He ties the ropes together and chants their prayer again and again, but she never wakes up. Nolan backs away from the scene and ties the rope around his waist. That whole night is spent in the mourning for their mother. The next morning, Nolan calls for Coda, but the dog does not respond. He makes some tea and brings it to his brother. However, Samuel says he saw Nolan in the woods, laughing at him for not being able to save their mother. Nolan says he must be dreaming, but Samuel wants him to touch the wood. Nolan obliges and chants the prayer. Satisfying Samuel, Nolan promises that he won't let him die. He ties the long rope around his waist and ventures into the woods. After tracking the known paths, he ventures into the unknown lands and reaches a road. He calls for help, but when there's no response, he heads home with tree bark in hand. However, when he reaches the house, a man appears at the scene, claiming that he had heard the call for help when he was hiking. Nolan is clearly startled by the man, so the man treads cautiously and asks his name. Nolan says his name and the man introduces himself as Cole. Cole asks about his parents, so Nolan tells him they passed away. Nolan asks for food and Cole suggests taking them away, but Samuel comes running with his weapon pointed at the guy. He accuses the man of taking his mother's life and tells him not to move. Nolan suggests that Cole could be a real person, but Samuel is not ready to hear any of it. Cole starts heading back from where he came, but Samuel still shoots him, making the poor guy crawl back as he calls for help. Nolan chases after him, telling Samuel that the man has food. Nolan tracks the bloodstains to find the man, already at his limits. He eyes the bag and goes to grab it when he hears the call answered on the phone. Cole tries to struggle, but Nolan snatches the bag and returns home. He finds canned food in the bag and offers it to Samuel. However, Samuel thinks Nolan is falling for the evil tricks and refuses the food. Nolan suggests that their mother lied to them and perhaps they are not the only ones alive. Samuel snaps at him for not believing her when she sacrificed herself to save them. The two end the conversation in an argument. At night, Samuel gulps down the canned food he refused earlier while Nolan is asleep. He looks around Cole's stuff and finds a torchlight among other things. He starts playing with it on the balcony, and that's when he notices something in the greenhouse. Samuel makes his way there and opens it up when he watches someone standing inside. However, when he goes inside, there's nothing there but a girl appears behind him, claiming to be looking for her father. She describes him, but Samuel pretends he never saw the man. The girl recognizes the torchlight and catches a glimpse of the corpse behind him. Samuel explains that he thought Cole was the evil, but the girl runs away. Samuel chases after her, but his rope comes to an end eventually. He knows she is real, so he lets go of the rope and continues to pursue her. Samuel loses her eventually, but the evil lurking around him in the shape of the girl attacks him, making him wriggle on the ground. Nolan wakes up to find that his brother is gone, so he ties the rope around his waist and pulls at Samuel's rope, which comes out empty. He hears Samuel's voice, so Nolan follows it. However, he sees him cut his rope, so Nolan runs towards the house. Once inside, Nolan inspects the house to find Samuel sitting on the bed. Nolan confronts him for cutting the rope, but he looks listless, so Nolan takes his hand and starts chanting the prayers. However, Samuel growls at him and starts attacking. He locks Nolan out of the room and plays the music as he proceeds to set the place on fire. Nolan realizes what's happening and makes an escape from the roof, while Samuel watches him from afar. Nolan gets inside the house once again, but there he sees his mother, trying to coax him into accepting her and letting go. Samuel watches the house burn down and takes a selfie with the camera. On the other hand, Nolan runs to the cellar and pushes his mother into it along with himself. He remembers all that his mother told him about being strong and never letting go, and holds on to the evil body as its skin dissolves to reveal its true form. Nolan keeps holding on to it, and it eventually disintegrates, leaving an unconscious Nolan in the cellar. Later, Nolan is rescued and taken for medical treatment. He wakes up in a helicopter and asks to save his brother. Turns out, Samuel is with him, so Nolan calms down. Somewhere near the house, the Polaroid picture shows Samuel in front of the burning house, but there's a hand on his shoulder. Nolan watches the world for the first time as he says they are free, but Samuel smiles as he says, "She loves me more."